Greetings aspirants, welcome to Narayana IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss the important articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express. These are the important articles we have picked up. So the first article talks about the odd even scheme of Delhi, and the second article talks about the net neutrality issue that has come up in the Hindu editorial page. And third article talks about the India-Bhutan relations. And the fourth article talks about the firecrackers. And the fifth article is about the Quad's IPMDA initiative. And the sixth article talks about the appointment of judges. So let's dive into the first article, which talks about the odd even scheme. So this topic is very important for UPSC. As we can see, this is a topic which is relevant for urban pollution under the categorization of GRAP and odd even policy and its effectiveness and other government measures. And this particular topic is relevant for this GS paper 3 environmental pollution and GS paper 1 sustainable urban development. So we can also see a previous year question which talks about what are the key features of National Clean Air Program initiated by the Government of India, which has come up in 2020. So this is an important topic. Why this particular topic is in news? So what is the context? So Delhi government has announced that the return of odd even scheme for a week starting from November 14 to November 20. This is right after Diwali. So this is due to the worsening air quality in Delhi. So it also recommended the odd even scheme according to the graded response action plan. So we'll understand what this graded response action plan is. So it's an air quality management plan because the issue has come up in 2016. From then onwards, there has to be we have been taking haphazard measures like random measures, but after 2016 we have come up with this particular GRAP. So this GRAP works under this autonomous body called Commission for Air Quality Management, and it works based upon the air quality index. So based upon the air quality index, this commission recommends to go for. There are 4 stages. So this recommends in which stage we are and what are the measures that we should be taking to tackle the air pollution. So we'll see what are these first 4 stages. The first stage talks about the enforcement of SC order on overaged and diesel vehicles and the complete ban of coal and firewood in eateries, restaurants and hotels. And the second stage talks about the targeted actions, like you can say the targeted actions like smog tower in hotspot regions like Vasant Vihar. And there is also regulation of operations of diesel generators which emit a lot of particulate matter. And coming to the third stage, it talks about the import strict restrictions on the BS3 and BS4 vehicles from certain areas, and also they may suspend the classes for students up to 5th class. And the fourth and the most severe aspect of this particular graded response action plan is not permitting the LCV registered numbers outside Delhi to enter Delhi, and at the same time the classes will be discontinued, and we can also go for this running of vehicles on odd even basis of registration numbers. So this has been the graded response action plan has come into the picture because the AQI reaching above 450 and this particular stage 4 has kicked in recently. So we'll understand what is this odd even scheme in the first instance and how it works and what are the issues moving forward. So the first odd even scheme, it is a pollution management measure to reduce the vehicular pollution and traffic congestion. We see there are 30 lakh vehicles that will be plying on the roads each day. So what it does is when the odd even scheme is implemented, half of the vehicles have to come on odd days and half of the vehicles have to come on the even days. We have tried this already in 2016 and in 2019 also. So what it does is it reduces the number of vehicles on the road, and also it reduces the engine idling by congestioning the roads. So this is a major measure that has been considered as a panache for this Delhi pollution. So see how it functions. It functions based on registration number. If the registration number is odd, then it has to work only on the odd days. If the registration number is of even number, so it has to move or ply on the road only on the even days. So this is how this scheme has been envisaged. And there are some exemptions also. We can see the exemptions here. The exemptions are given for the emergency vehicles, public transportation vehicles, taxis and the cars driven by women, and also the electric and hybrid vehicles, and also all the two-wheelers. So these are the exemptions given in the odd even scheme. So we'll understand the efficacy of this particular scheme, how this scheme has been working. So this is implemented as a measure to restrict the air pollution in Delhi. Why this is being restricted? We can see here, this is the Delhi air pollution chart. This Delhi air pollution is a concomitant mix of all these reasons. We can see the vehicle exhaust, dust from roads, industrial sources, residential cooking, open waste burning, power plant, dust storms, agriculture residue, and Diwali firecrackers. Here if you see, the vehicle exhaust contributes around 10 to 13%. So this is a significant amount, and the government has come up to reduce this significant amount by using the odd even scheme. So what it does is, it reduces the number of vehicles, and according to a report, if this scheme is implemented, the 12.5 lakh cars will go off the roads each day. So this reduces the pollution because the emissions will also be reduced in a proportionate manner. So since we already know that it has been there in 2016 and 2019, so there should be an experience and there should be some data. So according to this data, there is 2 to 44% reduction of this PM 2.5. So which is a very good or very important thing. And we can also see that if this scheme is not implemented, there is an increase of 2 to 127% during the non-odd even hours in 2016. So which is considered as a success and which has been implemented again because of the increased AQI. So we know that Delhi air pollution is a matter of concern for each and every individual in Delhi because it is a public health hazard. But why is this Delhi pollution always in news? Why there is so much pollution in Delhi? So there are so many reasons. The first important reason is the geographical reason. So this topography is like a bowl. Now if you see Delhi is like a bowl. It is surrounded by Aravallis, it is surrounded by Himalayas, and at the same time the central plateaus and the regions of high MSL in the west. So this is a major concern as the air will not move out of these areas. It's like a bowl and the air will stay there only. And at the same time, since this is a winter, the temperatures are low. So the dense air will stay near the ground, and this air while coming to the ground, they collect all the dust particles, and this creates a major impact on the health of the Delhi citizens. So what are the other reasons? Apart from the geographical reasons, there are other anthropogenic reasons such as the vehicle emissions, stubble burning, industrial emissions, emissions from the factories, construction and dust pollution, waste burning, lack of public transportation, and lax enforcement of rules. If you see here, stubble burning is also one of the major concerns because even Supreme Court also today told that the major states like adjacent states like Punjab has to take measures when it comes to stubble burning, because with the stubble burning, the ashes move to this Delhi, which itself is already suffering from the vehicular emissions and construction and other emissions. So these are the major reasons for why Delhi air quality is very low. Adding to these concerns, the festival emissions. You know, Diwali is a festival of lights and at the same time festival of emissions also because we use lots of firecrackers, and these firecrackers emit a lot of dust particles, and this again adds to the woes of Delhi air pollution because the climate is cold, the air will be coming down, and there will be stubble burning which adds more number of emissions, and again we go for the festivals which creates more number of emissions. So this all mix and create a concomitant mix of a dangerous public health hazard. So what is the way forward? Moving forward, we have to focus on the aspects. Now we have focused on the vehicular emissions by using the odd even scheme, which is a temporary measure, but we should also focus on the management of the construction and dust. We should definitely water the unpaved surfaces. Otherwise, these unpaved surfaces will create the dust particle which provides a nuclei for the PM 2.5 and PM 10. So this is how these dust particles accumulate and create this air pollution. Moving further, we can also focus on the major issue of this agricultural stubble burning. If you see, there are happy seeder technology which is considered as one of the measures to reduce the stubble burning and also adoption of zero tillage. But there are some issues when it comes to the happy seeders because recently there has been an incident where two constables who are supposed to be stopping the stubble burning or made forcibly, they were made to burn the stubble because they did not have the machines. So villagers were so angry, they made the constables who were supposed to stop the stubble burning to go and burn the stubble. So this is a major issue, and at the same time, should focus on also on the waste to energy plants. If there are no waste to energy plants, then the waste is being burnt on the roads, and this is creating emission. So if there is a waste to energy plant, then there is organic mix or organic use of this waste to energy, and at the same time we should also focus on the increasing the public awareness so that the citizens themselves can take steps to reduce their own emissions, and at the same time we can focus on promoting the public transportation. So we, as I have already told, there are 30 lakh vehicles in Delhi on the roads. So instead of these 30 lakh vehicles, if there is public transportation which is efficient, people will be using the public transportation. At the same time, we should also strictly enforce the norms of BS6, and we should also incentivize the people, and we can also use taxes like congestion tax to reduce the movement of vehicles on the roads. And also we can reduce the industrial emissions by following the standards strictly, and also we should promote cleaner technologies and renewable energy sources in the industrial processes. So all these can be used efficiently to tackle the Delhi air pollution issue. So now we'll see the second important article, which talks about the net neutrality, which talks about a telco double dip attempt that threatens the net neutrality, which has been in discussion in the previous cases also, and again it has come into the discussion. So this is relevant for the UPSC syllabus in GS paper 2 about the regulation of social media. So moving further, we'll understand why this particular topic has come into the news. What is the context? The context is that Troy, at the request of the government, has invited for a comprehensive consultation on the need for possible mechanisms, and the keyword here is the regulation of the over-the-top services which are considered as OTT services. So this is an important topic which has come into the foray because of the pressure from telcos or internet service providers. So the telcos or internet service providers are like the Vodafone, Jio, Airtel. So these are considered telcos or the internet service providers. They argue that their revenues have been dwindling because of the advent of new technologies or creative technologies like WhatsApp or Telegram. What these are doing is they are affecting on the traditional streams of revenue. For example, SMS. Earlier we used to charge SMS 1 rupee for SMS, or even the calls were also based on per second or per hour. It depends upon the plan we take, but these were the main streams of revenue for the ISPs. Now what people are doing, people are using WhatsApp video calls, WhatsApp calls and WhatsApp messaging, which is free. So this has affected the telcos revenue. And the second important thing is, with the increased use of OTTs like Hotstar, Prime and Netflix, the usage of data has increased. With earlier we used to consume, before 2015s, we used to consume only 100 MB or 250 MB of data. Now people are consuming a lot of data, and this data has to be accommodated because the bandwidth is increasing because people are using more and more data, and these telcos have invested a lot to accommodate the consumers so that they can use the OTT platforms. So they believe that they have created all the heavy investments, and these OTTs are acting as a free riders, and they are taking the revenues, but they are not taking the burden on either on infrastructure, either on or on the licensing fees. And the third important thing is the taxation and licensing burden. They believe that the taxation and license burden faced by telcos are much higher than these OTT platforms. Because of this, they argue that these OTTs they should also pay for the usage of the networks. But there are some arguments which goes against these particular principles, because the main principle of net neutrality is, which has been considered as epitome when it comes to the data services, will be compromised. According to the author in the editorial, it will also increase the charges on OTTs by telcos that would ultimately pass on the beneficiaries. See, we'll understand how this happens. For example, see, the ISPs or telcos. For example, Jio, we will be having already 799 plan, and we'll be paying for the Prime. According to the telcos, they want the OTTs to take some more. So if the Prime takes Amazon or Netflix takes the burden, then this will increase to 1200 or 1400. So this again will be carried to the consumer. So at the end of the day, according to the author, the consumer will get affected a lot. So the author also gives an interesting premise here. He talks about an analogy called the toll gate analogy. He talks about this toll gate analogy because if there is a toll gate here, consider this road as the highway for the data, and there is a toll collection agent here. So there may be different classes of vehicles, whether it is a bike or a car or a lorry. For different classes of vehicles, there will be different prices. But for example, for a four-wheeler car, if you can take Nexon as a car, if there are more Nexons on the road, do we charge more road tax for the Nexon? No, because we follow a principle of neutrality. If it is a four-wheeler, it doesn't matter whether it is an Alto or whether it is a Skoda. We charge the similar price. But according to the telcos, they want, because if Prime or Netflix are consuming more data, they want them to pay the extra for the sake of infrastructure, and because they are taking more number of profits, they want to take this net neutrality debate to the OTTs. So coming to this debate, this compromises the major principle of data when it comes to net neutrality, because net neutrality allows for the fair competition among the content providers, and it also provides an environment for the innovators. If there is a distinction between the players who are paying, for example, Amazon can pay a lot. So if Amazon pay a lot and it provides a free access or increased speed to the consumers, who will see Hotstar? If even Hotstar is also able to pay, there may be new companies which new innovative technologies, they may not be able to pay in the first instance because they are startups. They have to compete with these companies which are already pocket rich. So this affects the environment for innovation, and at the same time, the highway of data should always be free. Whatever the data might be, the data should flow freely without any disturbances or without any differentiation of data packets. So, however, there are some arguments which go against the net neutrality also. Like there is a hesitancy among the telcos to invest in the infrastructure because data is increasing. Who has to provide the data? Only the telcos provide the data, or the telcos provide the infrastructure for the data to transmit easily, but they don't have the sufficient funds. If you see the case of Vodafone in India, it is almost reached the case of bankruptcy, and the government has to come and save the Vodafone. So there are instances where the net neutrality might affect some of the players like Vodafone. But however, the TROI has come up with recommendations after consultation. It has come up with recommendations in 2018, and it has unequivocally said that no internet provider should be allowed to slow down or speed up a website or a service. This is in the lieu of free basics, which was supported by the Facebook, which is presently Meta. They argued that they will be providing internet free for only some sites, so that people can access these sites without paying any amount of money. But this is against the principle of slowdown or speeding up of some differentiated services, differentiated data usage. And at the same time, the TROI has come up with the principle that the service providers must declare how they manage their traffic, because there are some instances which are seen that that traffic by the ISP OTTs, like for example, Jio has Jio OTT separately. This is accessed very freely, and the data, the movement of data is very fast here. But when it comes to the other services, there are some instances where the service providers have targeted and they have slowed intentionally so that they can speed up their OTTs. And at the same time, a committee was also set up to detect net neutrality violations and communicate them to the government. So net neutrality as a principle has been embedded in the Indian digital infrastructure, and it cannot be easily changed. So the way forward here is always stick to the net neutrality irrespective of the what the telcos argument is, because it affects the creativity, it affects the flow of data, it creates the echo chambers, and it creates restrictions for the new players, affecting the innovative ecosystem. So this is an important article about net neutrality, and we'll move further to the third article, which talks about the India-Bhutan relations. This is an important relation for India because it is our neighbor state, it is our buffer state, and India and Bhutan has significant relations. So what is the UPSC relevance? So UPSC relevance when it comes to India-Bhutan relations links to the India and its neighbors. And also there are questions in prelims and mains when it comes to this particular topic. So moving further, we will discuss why this particular topic has been in use. The context of this particular article is that the Bhutan's king Wangchuk has come to India for an official visit. In the official visit, we have finalized some key joint statements. So this key joint statement is an important aspect because the Bhutan as a country has very important ramifications for Indian security structure. So what is happening in Bhutan? We'll understand first what is happening in Bhutan, and then we'll understand why this particular joint statement is important. Actually, Bhutan is in crisis because the Bhutan growth rate is only 4.8%, and because of the strict lockdown, the people are not able to find new employment, and there is net out migration from Bhutan. And at the same time, they have less forex reserves. They have less employment opportunities with nearly 120% debt. So this is the status of Bhutan. So Bhutan is in crisis. So what they want to do is they want to create a better economy for Bhutan. So the Bhutan government want to create economic opportunities, and the Bhutan government wants to increase the tourism opportunities so that the Bhutan as a country can sustain. So at the same time, even they are also working with the Chinese government, and they have also participated in 25th round of border talks, and they have also finalized a mechanism. So in lieu of this, we'll understand why this joint statement is important. So in this joint statement, it is believed that Gelepu, which is considered a smart city, has been used by Bhutan to create SEZ and also improve the economy on this particular instance. So they wanted to create very good connectivity with India. If you see the joint statement, there is a Gelepu and Kokrajhar cross-border rail link which has been accepted with 58 kilometers. So they believe that this will create a very good connectivity mechanisms, and it can boost the economy of Bhutan. And at the same time, there is this Haldibari Chilahiti, which is a trade route under active consideration, because people from Bhutan can come to Haldibari and they can move to Chilahati. Like, it is a trans-national movement which can improve the Bhutan trade aspects. And coming again, there is also an expanding energy partnership between India and Bhutan, because Bhutan is rich with hydro resources and India needs the hydro energy. And at the same time, there is a development fund. See, I have already told you that Bhutan is in crisis, and India provides budgetary support to Bhutan. And the joint statement, it has been mentioned that India will be providing budgetary support to the Bhutan even it's within its 13th 5-year plan. So we'll understand why this significant visit has happened recently. In 25th October, there was a cooperation agreement that has been signed between China and Bhutan, and there is a major security ramifications. As I have told you earlier, if you see here, it is the Siliguri corridor, and if boundary talks are successful, and if Bhutan gives away some significant territory, especially near the Chumbu Valley and the Doklam area, then the China army will be ever closer to Siliguri corridor. So, in case of a war between India and China, China will be able to easily cut off India from the 7 sister states of Northeast. So, this is why it is a significant event when it comes to the India-Bhutan relations. So, why Bhutan is so important to India? First of all, we have a treaty called Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation, which is a very important treaty, and it is considered as a protectorate state of India, because without asking India, it doesn't have any defense relationship or it doesn't have any strategic relationship. For example, Bhutan does not have any embassy in China till now, but the last visit has changed this, and they were under consultation whether they should have an embassy in China. So this is how important India is for Bhutan, because from 1949 it has been following India on each and every step, and India is also supporting Bhutan in the same way. And it is also strategic importance because it acts as a strategic buffer between India and China. And the trade has also been increasing recently, and we have also provided more avenues because Bhutan is a landlocked state and it doesn't have access to any ocean. So it has to come to the India or Kolkata on this. They have to access from this Indian Ocean region, because if you go to China, it will be there are so many mountains. We have to travel through lots of mountains and travel a longer distance, which is not feasible for the trade. And at the same time, there is hydroelectric potential where India can use the Bhutanese resources and can provide money with the help of Indian resources. They can build the hydroelectric projects and sell the power to India, so that both the people can benefit. And at the same time, for connectivity's sake, it is one of the important aspects, because as I have told you earlier, the 7 sister states are connected only by the Siliguri corridor, and Bhutan, which is a friendly state, acts as India's friend in all aspects. And also it provides an important connectivity route. For example, for BBIN also, it has provided, even though it did not ratify, it has provided an important channel for the connectivity. And also from environment, India can learn a lot from the Bhutanese approach of gross national happiness, where it focuses on the sustainable development. So, however, even though Bhutan is so important and it is the least controversial state or neighbor for India, still we have some challenges. So what are these challenges? The first challenge is, the earlier I have told you, the Chinese influence, the rise of Chinese influence. China is surrounding India. Now we can see in the Maldives, there is a pro-China candidate who is heading the Maldives government, at the same time in Sri Lanka and now in Nepal. So Bhutan is insulated in the earlier case. Now with the coming of democracy and the recent visit of the foreign minister of Bhutan, Bhutan is also coming under the China's influence, which might affect the India's strategic interest. And as I have told you earlier, the BBIN motor vehicle agreement, which has been there, but it has yet to be ratified in Bhutan's case. So these are some of the significant challenges. So we need to work towards these challenges, and we need to maintain some strategic silence, because the border talks are still happening and there is only a technical committee that has been formed and there is nothing concrete to discuss. So we have to maintain strategic silence, indicating the confidence that we believe both Bhutan and India can act, Bhutan and China can act in the India's interest. And at the same time, we need to work providing trust and goodwill. We need to support Bhutan following the neighborhood first policy and Gujarat doctrine, so that the trust and goodwill will always be maintained. And at the same time, we should focus on enhancing the economic engagement by providing access to renewable energy and also tourism and also technology. So we can do joint ventures so that this will diversify and also provide a sense of accountability and leadership to the Bhutanese government. Moving on to the next important article, which talks about more light and less sound. So this is an article about the firecrackers, and it has been an important topic. We can see some prelims questions on this colors of the firecrackers, and at the same time it is an important aspect for environmental pollution and degradation in the mains perspective. So we'll understand why this particular topic is in use. Because recently Supreme Court has given a judgment on the ban of firecrackers. So it has banned the use of firecrackers, especially in Delhi NCR region. So it has said that the festival of light should not become festival of noise, and festival of firecrackers are associated with joy celebrations worldwide, but it has two important ramifications. That is, they contain toxic material and they also provide excessive levels of noise. So one is the light and another one is the noise. For the sake of light, we use harsh chemicals. For example, for green color, we use barium sulfate, which is considered as one of the notorious pollutant, and at the same time for noise, we use various measures which might affect the eardrums. So in this context, Supreme Court has given a judgment based on the light and noise, and it has said that even though it has in 2017, even though it has given a ban on the toxic firecrackers, still there are firecrackers, and the implementation of this ban is not up to the mark. So in this instance, the Supreme Court has said that right to life takes over the right to religious practices, finding that it affects the public health and the public health needs to be protected. And at the same time, the manufacturers of Shivakasi, Shivakasi, which is the hub of firecrackers, they went to Supreme Court arguing that they have a right to manufacture and trade under Article 19(1)(z). But however, Supreme Court had said that the decision is aimed to balance the individual rights rather than the rights of manufacturers providing harmful chemicals, especially in the festive times. So, moving further, Supreme Court recently has given a judgment saying that earlier the judgment was considered to be under these principles. First one is that it was a ban on Delhi and NCR region only, and the green crackers are allowed all over India except Delhi and NCR region, and the barium sulfate crackers are banned all over India. And Supreme Court has also said that there should be strict implementation of these laws. So, for a clarification, Supreme Court has said that the restrictions are applicable to not in Delhi and NCR region, and it is applicable to all the regions, and has instructed the state government to take the measures to control the air and noise pollution. And this decision has come for the petitioners who were advocating for ban on firecracker sale and use. The court has said that they need to raise the awareness and emphasized the implementation of the previous order that it has given in 2017 judgment related to pollution. So what are the steps that have to be taken to reduce the impact of firecrackers? One is the concept of green crackers. So green crackers are a kind of environment friendly crackers. They reduce the pollution by 30% compared to the firecrackers, and at the same time they are with small shell, no ash, and there are dust suppressants to reduce the emissions, especially the particulate matter. As we have seen in the recent article about Delhi pollution, one of the major issue is the firecrackers during the festive time. And at the same time, what are the properties of these green crackers? The properties are that they do not contain any barium compounds, that they have distinctive color, and burning green crackers, they provide water vapor, which reduces the amount of dust emitted because the water vapor will absorb the dust. So they also produce the less sound between 110 to 125 decibels, and at the same time, the identification of green crackers is very easy as a color logo of CSIR and NERI, and petroleum and explosive safety organizations, and a quick response code is also present there. So we can check the authenticity of the green crackers before buying a cracker. And at the same time, this CSIR in 2018 has given 3 types of green crackers. One is the SWAS, safe water releaser. It releases 30% water vapor and it makes 30% less particulate matter. At the same time, there is one more green cracker called star green cracker, which contains no potassium nitrate or sulfate, and it emits less particulate matter, which reduces the sound intensity. And there is one more firecracker called Shuffle, which has minimal use of aluminum and more magnesium, so it produces less noise than the traditional firecrackers. So this is about the light. And coming to the noise pollution, the government has strict rules when it comes to the noise pollution. So it stipulates that the firecrackers cannot be burst in the silence zones, and designated the state governments that anywhere after 10 p.m. there should not be any firecrackers. And at the same time, there are some location-based thresholds, as we can see. They have to be used only in daytime, and in industrial areas there should be only 75 decibels, and in the commercial areas it should be 65 decibels. In the residential areas it has to be 55 decibels, and this is the decibel and A weighting. So the sound level is measured in the decibels, and A weighting is applied on account of human perception of the loudness. So how much it impacts the human ear. So it is a weighting scale used to adjust the measured sound levels to match the human ear sensitivity to different frequencies. So moving on to the consequence of noise pollution. With the noise pollution, people will be having sleep disorders, tinnitus, stress, anxiety, hearing loss, and cardiac issues. So if the decibels are more than 80, the officers have been associated with hypertension, whereas in the night times, if it is greater than 50 decibels, when the body is accustomed to the loud noises, it could increase the cortisol levels. So what is the status of implementation of the Supreme Court orders? We have seen there has been a major issue when it comes to the implementation of orders, because after 2018, even if the order is given in 2018, the implementation is very lax. One of the major reasons is the pandemic. Pandemic had made this application of the law very difficult, and at the same time, when it comes to the identification, it is very difficult for a layman to identify which is a conventional tracker and which is a green cracker. So this has been a major issue, and at the same time, there is an ambiguity when it comes to the intermittent firecracker noise and unclear zoning make noise which are less effective. The rules lack clear sanctions and enforcement mechanisms, leading to ambiguity. So what can we do? So government should definitely prohibit the production of non-compliant firecrackers. For example, now we are focusing on the supply side. What is the supply side? We are focusing upon the consumers. We are focusing upon the product. We are not focusing upon the actions like industrial surveillance. For example, it is believed that in Sivakasi, many manufacturers still use barium sulfate, and they argued in the court that they are having barium sulfate only in the godowns. But that should not be the case. Government should focus on the production aspects of, and at the same time there should be strict implementation or strict measures should be enforced on the non-compliant firecrackers. And at the same time, cities should also enhance public access to the noise data and implement noise mitigation goals to combat this problem effectively. There has been one instance where the government envisaged a public space for crackers. So they wanted to have an open ground, and they wanted people to come here and use the firecrackers and go home, so that only a section of the city gets affected, and that too only green crackers. And at the same time, instead of minor firecracker improvements, a broader approach should be used, and this should involve zoning and enforcement measures so that it can reduce the noise pollution. So this is an important topic. So we should keep the important aspects of light, and at the same time, what is the Supreme Court judgment on what can be done to understand this particular topic in an effective manner. So moving further, there is an important topic which talks about the Quad's initiative of IPMDA, which is Indo-Pacific maritime domain awareness. So this is an important topic. It has UPSC relevance when it comes to the institution as mechanism as such, and at the same time, an initiative called Quad, which is there between four countries, four democratic countries. So there were many questions when it comes to Quad in the 2020 and 2021 also. So what is the relevance of Quad in the UPSC syllabus? It is a very important topic in international relations when it comes to the regional alliances. So moving further, we'll understand why this particular topic is in news. So what is the context? So here we can see this particular question is there in 2020. The quadrilateral security dialogue is transforming itself into a trade bloc from a military alliance in present times. Discuss. So this is an important question. As I have told you earlier, these questions are appearing repeatedly when it comes to Quad. So what is the context? We'll understand that there has been a recent Goa Maritime Conclave in 29th and 30th of the October month this year, and a Navy admiral has talked about this particular topic, and he said that the Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness Initiative is very important and it reflects the commitment to free, open, inclusive and rules-based Indo-Pacific. So Quad relies on the principle of FOIP, that is free, open, inclusive and rules-based Indo-Pacific. So this is a very important topic and we'll understand why this topic is important. And this initiative is launched in 2022 and this initiative is part of the strategic alliance between four countries of Quad. See, if this is India, if we consider this as consider this is Africa, here we have Indian Ocean region, here we have Pacific, and here we have this East China Sea. So this whole region comes under this Indo-Pacific belt. Okay. So there are four Quad countries. What are the four Quad countries? Here we have USA also. USA is one, Japan, India, and Australia. So if we consider this here, these are the four countries which are forming a quadrilateral. So in this quadrilateral, there is an initiative which talks about this IPMDA. And what is the objective of this IPMDA? It is to enhance the maritime domain awareness and information sharing in the Indo-Pacific region. So it is a technological initiative to create synergies between the Quad countries. So what it does, so it is focused on key four areas. One is the information sharing, and the second is the capacity building, and third one is the technological development, and fourth one is the response coordination. So what happens in this information sharing? So first is this information sharing will have a network of hubs. For example, we have a hub in Gurugram called Fusion Center. Likewise, we have, this is from India, and Singapore has one information center, Vanuatu has one information center, and this Mauritius has one information center. So all these four creates a network of information centers. So what happens is, whenever information is there with these countries, this can be shared, because India has coastal radars all over the world. Especially we have coastal radars in Mauritius, we have in Seychelles, we have in Maldives, and we have the information when it comes to the whole Indian coastal map, coastal region. So we have the coastal information, and this information is used in the Gurugram Fusion Center. Likewise, these four countries have these fusion centers, and all the information can come together so that this information is shared among these countries. And at the same time, there is capacity building mechanism which provides for training and assistance to the partnering countries. There are new technologies like satellite-based technologies which have been used in the recent past. So these countries can share the technologies, and at the same time, this domain awareness can be used or improved by use of sensors and data analysis tools also. So at the same time, we can focus on the response coordination, especially whenever there is human disasters or disasters like tsunami. Response coordination will be very effective among these countries. So what is the significance of this particular mechanism to India? So we can access, like other countries will be using India's Gurugram center, we will be able to use the centers all over the Indian and Pacific Ocean region. So whatever threats like this dark shipping and illegal and unreported fishing, which is especially done by China, and at the same time terrorism activities, all this can be monitored because of the maritime domain awareness mechanisms. And at the same time, we can also promote cooperation and coordination between Quad countries. We already have existing mechanisms like logistic sharing and all those things. And among all those things, this will act as a deterrent for the other countries, since our information sharing mechanisms are very strong. So, as I have told you earlier, Quad is a major organization under which IPMDA is a strategic alliance in the maritime domain. So what is the significance of Quad for India? Quad is a mechanism of 4 democracies bordered by Indo-Pacific region, and they are united against the threat of growing Chinese assertiveness in this region. And at the same time, it acts as a security cooperation mechanism because we are doing joint exercises and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief mechanisms using these countries. And also, there is a economic cooperation among these countries because we are still talking about the trade and investment mechanisms in Quad. It is not only a security or strategic structure, but it also an all-encompassing structure which enables India and other countries to go for trade-related aspects also. So, moving further, recently we have launched this Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which is an initiative to promote the trade and investment in the region. Like I have said earlier, it is an important aspect when it comes to not only the strategic, but in the economic angle also. So, the main aim of this particular Quad Alliance is to have this free and open Indo-Pacific. So, this pivot of USA is to arrest the growth of Chinese assertiveness, and that's why we have coined the term free and open Indo-Pacific, because China believes that some part of this region comes under China. So this is an important aspect, and at the same time, it also strengthens the India's strategic position. India's membership in this strategic position acts as a counterweight because India only cannot match China and or Blue Navy of China. So Quad will definitely help India when it comes to projecting power to the China. So what can we do? So we can deepen the institutional cooperation between these countries. The Quad should hold regular summit meetings and ministerial meetings so that the institutional mechanisms are formalized. And at the same time, we need to ensure that the regional partners should also be brought in. Like not only the 4 countries, there are other countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Mauritius, Indonesia. We should bring all the countries together, and also we should also bring into the ambit the West Indian Ocean region, as major threats for India are emanating from the west of this particular initiative. But this particular initiative is not taking into consideration the France or Britain's or European Union's fusion centers, which are there in Indian Ocean region. So we should focus on these aspects also. And at the same time, we should promote economic cooperation, which we are doing with the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. And at the same time, should also focus on collaborating on the emerging technologies of 5G and artificial intelligence, as they are the new threats in the world of international affairs. And there is a major issue of addressing climate change because these countries have the coastal borders from Indian Ocean to Pacific Ocean. So any change in the climate affects the oceans, and these in turn affect the regions of Quad, especially. For example, monsoon affects India, monsoon affects Australia, and monsoon also affects USA, the parts of New Mexico region. So this is a major aspect that these Quad countries can also focus upon. And the conclusion is that Quad is an important platform in India, and India needs to leverage these alliances to promote India's strategic interest and also promote the principle of free and open Indo-Pacific region. Going to the next important article, which talks about the Collegium recommendation of appointing the Chief Justice of High Courts to Supreme Court. So we'll see this particular article in the prelims perspective. So what is the relevance of this particular appointments in UPSC prelims? So appointment of judges and collegium system can be asked in the prelims questions, and at the same time, this is a major issue when it comes to the Indian polity and governance aspects, how judiciary is functioning in India. You can see the topic here, the organization and function of executive and judiciary. So what is the context of this particular article? The context is that the collegium has headed by CJI D.Y. Chandrachud has recommended the Chief Justice of 3 High Courts for the appointment of Supreme Court. The full strength of Supreme Court is 34. And now there are only 31 judges, and now it has added 3 more judges. So the total will be 34. So it will be a full strength Supreme Court with the inclusion of these 3 judges. So we'll understand what is the concept behind the appointment of judges, and what is the composition of collegium, and what is the eligibility of Supreme Court judges, and how it has been evolved, and why there is a delay in the judicial appointments. So how the judges are appointed to the Supreme Court? First is the Article 124, which talks about the Constitution of Supreme Court, and it also provides for the composition of collegium for the appointment of judges to the Supreme Court. And the number of judges in the Supreme Court is regulated by legislation, primarily by the Supreme Court Number of Judges Act. It has been amended recently from 31, it has been increased to 34 to cater to the needs of the pendency in cases in Supreme Court. So what is the eligibility? The eligibility is that the citizen, he has to be citizen, whether he is naturalized citizen or born in India. He has to be a citizen of India, and he should have some judicial experience, and he should have some legal experience, and he must be a distinguished jurist in the opinion of the president. So these are all the eligibilities, and at the same time, the composition of collegium. So CJI will be the head of this, and CJI plus 4 senior most judges will act as collegium, and they will take the appointment and they will recommend to the president, and this recommendation is not mere consultation, concurrence. So this is the keyword here, so you should remember the keyword. So how this collegium system has evolved? There are three significant cases which have come up. The first is the first judge's case, which stated that the president should act on the advice of Chief Justice in judicial appointments. In the second judge's case, it has established that a group of Chief Justice and 4 Senate judges to make the recommendations on the appointment. And in the third judge's case, it has been reinforced that the collegium role is not mere consultation, rather it is concurrence. So, however, there have been subsequent developments wherein the executive wanted to control the judiciary by using NJAC, that is National Judicial Appointments Commission Act in 2014, but Supreme Court has struck down, saying that it affects the independence of the judiciary, and it has said that independence of the judiciary is the basic structure of the Constitution. So, moving further, why these judicial appointments are need of hour at this particular point of time? Because there is a large pendency of the cases. According to the National Judicial Data Grid, there are 4 crore cases which are pending, and at the same time, there is a overload on the existing judges. So, India requires more number of judges. So, this is the need of hour, and this is the status of judicial dispensation in the present situation. So, this is leading to unequal delays. So, this is leading to the undue delays in appointments, and it takes around 127 days for the government to go for the appointments of judges, and there is also a concern of selective appointment of judges, issues in seniority, and there is no proper timeline that is being followed for appointment of judges. Recently, Supreme Court has put some conditions in October to complete the process of appointment of judges in the high courts, and this has taken a shape only after the Supreme Court has wrapped the government when it comes to the judicial appointments. So we can see some prelims questions like this, like what is the provisions to safeguard the autonomy of Supreme Court of India? The first option is, while appointing the Supreme Court judges, the President of India has to consult the Chief Justice of India. And the second option is, the Supreme Court judges can be removed by the Chief Justice of India only. And the third is, the salaries of judges are charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, to which the legislature does not have to vote. And the fourth option is, all appointments of officers and staff the Supreme Court of India are made by the government only after consulting the Chief Justice of India. So which of the statements is correct? So the first option is 1 and 3 only, and second option is 3 and 4 only, and the third option is 4 only, and the fourth option is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So see these questions and practice the questions. And this one more question which talks about who launched the Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness Initiative. So we can, by seeing the content, you can understand what is the correct option. So, and the third question is about the graded response action plan. So the question talks about whether it is a multi-stage anti-air pollution measure based on the air quality index. It consists of 5 stages in which the restrictions are heavy to contain the severe air pollution. And the third option is, the Commission of Air Quality Management is an autonomous body, is authorized to propose the GRAP. So how many statements are correct? Only one statement is correct, only two statements are correct, and all the 3 statements are correct. The fourth option is none. So you understood the recent graded action plan, so you can easily answer based upon the content we have provided now. And the next question is about the green crackers. With reference to the green crackers, consider the following statement. Green crackers do not contain the barium compounds, or burning green crackers provides water vapor. And the third option is, green crackers have a distinctive green color logo of CSIR and NERI and Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization and a QR code. So how many statements above given are correct? Only 1, only 2, all 3 and none. So you can practice and you can revise the topic we have discussed and answer these questions. And coming to the mains question, that is, critically assess the significance of quadrilateral security dialogue for India in the context of changing geopolitical and geoeconomic landscape of the Indo-Pacific region. So here the qualifiers are changing geopolitical and changing geo-economic landscape. So we have to keep in mind the important aspects that are changing globally in the Indo-Pacific region and also in the economic dimension also. And we need to qualify this to the impact on India and in the significant, and what is the significance of quadrilateral security dialogue. So these are the major aspects that we should keep in while writing the mains answer. Thank you, students. Best of luck. If you like the content, do like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you.